What if an AI could do more than just follow our instructions? What if it could actually teach itself how to reason, how to solve incredibly hard problems, and even have its own moments of discovery? I know it sounds like something straight out of a movie, but some brand new research shows it might be way closer than we think. Now, when you hear a sentence like that, you're probably picturing a scientist in a lab, right? Maybe having a huge breakthrough, a sudden flash of insight that just changes everything. But what if I told you that the origin of this quote is a lot more surprising than that? Yeah, you heard that right. An AI model smack in the middle of wrestling with a complex math problem literally paused, reflected on what it was doing, and flagged its own aha moment. So the big question we're going to tackle in this explainer is, how in the world is that even possible? Okay, so to really get how an AI has one of these aha moments, we've got to start with a really fundamental challenge in artificial intelligence, one that researchers at DeepSeek AI decided to tackle head-on. It's a simple question, but the answer is anything but. For years, the main approach has been to just show an AI millions and millions of examples of how humans think, and then hope it learns to copy us. But what if that's not the best way? What if there's another way entirely? Let's really break this down. The old way is kind of like giving a student a math problem, but you also give them the fully worked out solution. They just learn to copy the steps you showed them. This new idea, though, it's like giving that same student just the problem and an answer key. They have to figure out all the steps to get there themselves. And here's the kicker. An AI that only imitates humans can be as good as a human, sure, but it can never be better. This new idea, well, it opens the door for an AI to find ways of thinking that we humans have never even dreamed of. So this new idea led the DeepSeek team to try something pretty radical. Instead of teaching the AI to copy us, they decided to just throw the textbook out the window and see if an AI could learn to reason completely on its own, from scratch. The tool they used for this is called reinforcement learning, or RL for short. The whole concept is actually pretty simple. The AI tries to do something, and if it gets closer to the goal, you give it a little reward. If it gets further away, you give it a little penalty. It's basically learning by trial and error, just like you train a dog with treats. Now, for these huge language models, this is a really out there approach because they are almost always built by first making them imitate just mountains of human written text. So here's exactly how they set up the experiment. They took this base model, DeepSeek R1, and they gave it all these complex problems. But they set one very simple rule. You only get a reward if your final answer is 100% correct. They gave it no credit for a good try, and, this is the critical part, they gave it 0 examples of how a human would solve it. It was completely and utterly on its own. And this, my friends, is where things get really, really interesting. Because when it was left to its own devices, with only that final score to guide it, the model started to change. It actually started to evolve. The first, just incredible result was seeing how the AI's process changed. Check out this chart. It shows the average length of its answers over time. Just look at that steady climb. Without anyone telling it to, the AI spontaneously started generating these longer and longer chains of thought. It was deciding all by itself to dedicate more thinking time to each problem. And all that extra effort? Oh, it paid off big time. This chart shows the AI's accuracy on the AMY, which is a notoriously difficult math competition. Its performance just skyrocketed from under 20% to almost 80% accuracy. That score significantly surpasses the average score of human competitors. It wasn't just thinking for longer, it was thinking smarter. Which brings us right back to this quote. This is a direct output from the model's own internal monologue. It shows that the AI didn't just learn how to solve the problems, it learned these advanced strategies like self-reflection, catching its own mistakes, and systematic verification. It literally taught itself how to think critically. For the researchers watching this happen, that was the real aha moment. So the team had unlocked this powerful, raw reasoning engine. But a wild, untamed genius isn't very useful to the average person. So the next crucial step was to refine all that power and turn this genius into a helpful partner. Yeah, you can think of DeepSeek R1 as this untamed prodigy. Incredibly brilliant, for sure. But its thought process was, well, it was a total mess. It was hard to read, and it would even flip between English and Chinese in the middle of a sentence. To be a true AI partner, it needed to be polished up. So the researchers built this really clever multi-stage pipeline. They took the raw reasoning power from R1, and then they used other training techniques to clean it up. This included something called Supervised Fine-Tuning, or SFT, which is basically like showing the AI examples of how humans prefer to talk, so it learns how to communicate clearly. This process combined the AI's self-discovered genius with the clarity and polish that we humans need, creating the final model, DeepSeek R1. So what can this new, polished AI actually do? And what does this whole breakthrough really mean for the future of AI and for us? Well, the results kind of speak for themselves. The final DeepSeek R1 model performs at a totally elite level, right across the board. It places in the 96th percentile on competitive coding, it gets nearly 80% on that super tough math exam, and it scores incredibly high on just general helpfulness. It's an absolute powerhouse. But part of what makes this research so great is how transparent they are. The team is super clear about the challenges that are still ahead. Reward hacking is a big one. That's where the AI might find a clever loophole to get the reward without actually solving the problem the right way. It can also waste energy by overthinking simple questions, and it still has a few quirks with certain prompts and languages. But the core takeaway, the big idea from all of this work, is a major paradigm shift. It suggests that the path to truly powerful, maybe even superhuman AI reasoning might not be through imitation, it's through incentivization. By setting up the right goals and the right rewards, we can let these AIs explore and discover problem-solving strategies that are far beyond our own. And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating final thought, doesn't it? When we stop limiting AI to just human ways of thinking and instead empower it to discover its own, what new breakthroughs in science, in medicine, and technology, what will suddenly become possible? What new frontiers will they help us explore?